one of the things in my own life that has moved me to move mountains, which is what I like to say, what will it take to make you move a mountain? Well, what it took for me was when I became aware of what was happening to my fellow sisters over in the Congo. When I learned of the level of torture and abuse and sexual trauma and annihilation that was happening right now, and is still happening right now, in that area of the world, something in me broke open. That's the way I describe it. It's like my heart just began to break open. It was like I was not able to stand as a bystander anymore. I was not able to separate myself out and somehow say, well, that's happening to them and there's nothing that I can do, right? Something inside of me broke where I realized that if I stood as a bystander to this, I was actually part of creating it. And that is something that had me stopping my tracks in such a way that I was left feeling, I don't know what to do about this. That was really what it was, is I don't know what to do about this, and yet I know that to do nothing means I'm as guilty as those who are doing it. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's really what it was. It was like a shift in my awareness, like something broke. And out of that moment grew this knowing. I just opened to a knowing inside of myself that said, you have to do something. And the knowing that I had to do something started me on a journey whereby I ended up, you know, through many, many different synchronicities and ways that I couldn't have anticipated. I ended up going to the Congo with my partner, first and foremost in 2009, and working with kid soldier survivors of the, I should say, ex-kid soldiers. Just slow down. This story really gets me. Where I worked with ex-child soldiers and ex-child prostitutes who were survivors of that, their parents being killed or their mothers being raped and tortured, and they themselves having been the ones who did that. The kids who were in the army, who were brainwashed. And so I worked with them on a drumming and performance leadership development program. That's the way I could put it, that they were using their drumming as a vehicle of healing for other survivors of the genocide that's happening there. And that was an amazing experience and really led me to say, you know what, there's something that I'm doing here, or there's something that I can be here. And if it's nothing else, it's bearing witness. And I know that sounds weird, but that's really what it was. It was like I took myself and I bared witness, I opened my heart and I played and I sang with those kids. And I learned that the healing is in having them realize that they're not alone. That somebody hears their story and gets it and is supporting them, and that somebody lives in America or lives in England or lives somewhere else on the planet, that someone somewhere on the planet knows about what's happening to them. That in itself was so incredibly moving for me. And so on the back of that, I realized that my work there wasn't done, and so I ended up approaching Eve Ensler and the V-Day organization and basically saying to them, I really want to come and help and support the work you're doing. And so last year I ended up in the Congo with a group of 13 women in a tattered, torn up classroom for 10 days where we went on a healing journey into how could they as women stand up in their power when they had been so obliterated and so tortured and traumatized, but how could they find their power and turn that pain into power that they could then ignite in their sisters. And what I learned from being in that experience was that the healing is through the heart, that that's where we connected. And that I had a great agenda for going there, and I had all these plans, I had all this, I was quite buttoned up in what I was doing. I had spreadsheets and doobie whatsits and all the rest of it. And the truth is I needed all of that to get there because I was scared, I mean terrified. I flew for 2.5 days across the world. I landed at Burundi airport at 2 o'clock in the morning on my own, with no cell phones working, not really knowing where I was going. no local currency, with like $3,000 strapped to my belly. And I remember thinking to myself, as I would, before I had the mild panic attack that I had in Burundi airport, there was a part of me that looked at me and said, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? And then another part of me stepped in line and said, I am doing what I'm called to do. I am doing what I'm called to do, but I will be real with you. Sometimes what we're called to do is not comfortable. Sometimes what we're called to do is not something that's easy for us. It stretches us. And so the piece that I'm really struck by in all of this is that I know from my own life experience that I'm here to hold other people in stretching beyond their greater than imagined, in embracing whatever that thing is that you think you can't do, because you can do it. It's whether you're willing to step into the possibility of it. And once you are, then Providence moves. There's that wonderful Goethe quote. I can't remember all of it, but there is that whole thing that Providence will move. The greater forces will start to unveil themselves when you step up to the plate fully, and that's what I've been learning through this work. And what I've been so inspired with David to create in the Soulful Women program is a fertile ground for women to step into, so that you can really fully show up to the mission that you're here to be. And it's like lofty words, but I don't know what that mission is in you, but I know that it's extraordinary. And I know that we're here to support it and midwife it and birth it and give you the tools and the impetus and the cheerleading and the witnessing that you need in order to believe that this is possible. Because when you believe it's possible, as I said, Providence moves. And so my relationship with the Congo and with the women there is so beautiful and intimate in my heart. It's the one thing that fuels me every day, and it's the one thing that I really can feel like it's the one thing that really brings me back to my heart every day as I think about those women and what their lives are and how I've got a connection to them, and that relationship exists across time and space. And that nourishes me at a level that nothing else can.